Hi guys, and welcome to this moonshot where we're going to be looking at how to build and run a random number generator. So I've got Jupyter notebooks open and I'm ready to start coding in Jupyter. So if you're unsure how to do that, jump back to an earlier moonshot, lessons 1 or 2, or moonshots number 1 and 2 and take a look. Alternatively, if you're following this moonshot in another code editor such as Sublime or Visual Studio or something like that, it should work perfectly well in that. If not, just drop a note in the comment section and I'll see if I can give you a hand. Okay, so let's kick in. So in this moonshot, as I said, we're going to build a random number generator. So that only takes a few lines of code, but let's discuss it beforehand. So the ability to take user input and manipulate that input is a very important practice within Python programming, indeed any programming language. Being able to accept user input is something that makes your programs much more interactive and usable for your customers or for your users. In this moonshot, we're going to be using the random module. Now, if you're unsure what a module is, jump back into my beginner's Python course and take a look in there. But very simply, a module is like a code library. So it's a Python file that does something specific that you can import and use in your current program. So for example, if there was a module out there that said hello, just a very simple greeting, I could import that module into my current program here, and when I run it, it would simply say hello. Now that's a very, very simple explanation of modules. As I said, think of them like a code library, a fully functioning working program that you can import into your current program and use it. So for this lesson, we're going to import and use the random module. And how do we do that? Well, we say from random. So from the module random, import star. Now what does star mean? That means import everything, all the code, all the functionality within the random module. If you know specific parts of a module that you want to use, or if you know specific functions within a module that you want to use, you can write the name of the function here instead of star. That's a little bit more advanced to this early moonshot, but again, if you want to know more, do jump into the beginner's Python course. Now, next line, let's say print. So we're going to print out a string here, double quotation marks, \n to signify a new line, and let's say we're going to do the greater than operator. So we'll do it 10 times. 1, 2, 3. There we go, 10. And what's our program called? Random number generator. Double check my spelling. Cool. Now let's do the less than operator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. \n for another new line. We can even just run that to see what it looks like. Shift and enter. There you go. Looks good. Okay, if you go up here to cell, all output, clear. There you go. It clears our output and we can keep working in the current cell. What's the next line going to say? Well, we're going to create a variable, and that variable is going to be number 1. So num1 equals int for integer. Now, by putting integer in front of our input, which we are doing now, input, it will convert any input that is received from the user to an integer. So input, enter, so this is a string, enter the start number, the starting number, colon, there we go. So now when this program runs, it will ask the user to input a number. That number will be received as a string. Python cannot calculate with strings. It needs to be converted into a number, which in this case is done with the int word here, int. That will convert a string to an integer. Okay, similar again, let's say num2. So the second variable received by the user, or received from the user I should say, input, enter the last number. Again, colon, space that out. There we go. Make sure you have 2 brackets to close out your line here. A couple of spaces there. Next, x equals rand int, so random integer, num1, comma, space, num2. So what are we saying here? assign to the variable x a random integer between the numbers 1 and 2 as assigned from a user. So here in lines 9 and 10, we have two variables, num1 and 2. Those variables will prompt the user to input a number. When a program receives those two numbers, it will randomly select an integer between them from num1 to num2. Okay, next, print \n the random number between, close the double quotation marks there, comma, num1, so the random number between num1, which we'll get from the user, comma, open double quotation marks, and close quotation marks, comma, num2, comma, open quotation marks, is colon \n. Then finally, print x. Print out the random number generated by randint between numbers 1 and 2. Okay guys, let's run this program, shift and enter, and see what happens. Oh, what happened there? Shift and enter. Oh, it's thinking about it. How do I know it's thinking about it? See up here, in for input. So when there's a little star here, it means your program is running. So let me just stop my program because it seems to have locked up there a little bit. I'm not sure why. So let me hit shift and enter again. Okay, perfect. Exactly what we expected. Enter the starting number. I'm going to say 7. Hit enter. Enter the last number. Okay, 98. Hopefully we get a random number between 7 and 98. Hit enter. The random number between 7 and 98 is 96. Perfect. It works perfectly. Now, this is just a very simple little program with only a few short lines of code, 14 lines of code in total. Not even, we have a few blank lines. But it shows you the power of using modules and accepting user input and then returning something to the user. There are several ways that we could improve upon this program. One, at line 13, we could make this line a little bit easier to read. Now there are methods for this, such as inserting variables directly into strings. That technique is known as f-strings because your string is preceded with the letter F. Now we're not going to use it here. You can see this technique in the beginner's Python course, which you should have access to as a Moonshot subscriber. Otherwise, we'll look at this technique in later Moonshot. So that's it for this very brief program. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.